187 of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. It's Kyle once again. Thanks for all the support. Before we get started, this will be out on iTunes, I think, in January, if I'm not mistaken. Today, and I'm going to start doing this periodically. I posted a question about an hour ago just to see what questions you guys had. I'm always looking for topics, so if there's anything you really want me to do a deep dive in, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But, you know, that's kind of the gist of it. So we have a number of questions here, doing this from the truck. So I got my laptop open here. So I'm just going to start going. If questions popped up and you're watching, feel free to ask them on the live video and I'll answer them. So I'm going to go in order, and then I'll finish with Splinter's question because he texted it to me. So that was it. So Jay Albanese wants to know supplements and which are best and when to use them. What supplements are best, basically? There's a couple supplement questions on here. So the non-negotiables, in my opinion, are vitamin D3. Okay, it's actually a pro-hormone. Every cell in your body has a D3 receptor. You're going to be deficient in this, especially if you live in the Northeast. So that's something you have to be on. I've changed my dosing over the years, but you know, if you're getting 50,000 IUs a week, you're going to be solid there. It's way higher than any doctor is going to recommend, but I can tell you through, my biosignature studies throughout the years that's where it should be. And I've seen this through a lot of blood work on clients. Another one is magnesium. Magnesium is depleted by stress, and magnesium helps us deal with more stress. You're not getting the magnesium we need from our food nowadays because the quality of the soil is not as good. So that's something you should definitely be using. I'm toying with putting that in the juice concoction, edible magnesium salt, kind of like an Epsom salt. So stay tuned on that. Those are the main two things. Other than that, I would take a probiotic, would be up high on my list. Especially if you take antibiotics, use a probiotic. So that's something you want to make sure that the gut health is where it should be, and that's super important. So we'll come back to supplements in a little bit, but I keep it simple. You don't need to go crazy with supplements. That's what I recommend. That's what I take. So Dan Lane wants to know why intermittent fasting works as opposed to other diet plans like keto, several small meals throughout the day. So you guys know me. I love fasting. I love, it's a passion of mine to study that and implement it. And the Panda Diet book, which I'm thinking of some cool titles for, subtitles for, will be out by February at some point. That's a big rock of mine this quarter to get that done and get that out to you guys. But why does it work? So anything that involves willpower, you're not going to be able to form a habit around long term. So that's first and foremost. Diets, by their nature, raise stress levels. Usually when we're dieting and doing something, we're depriving, okay? When you're depriving, let's say in this case food, and you're following a typical diet approach, your main hunger hormone, ghrelin, will continue to raise. Your metabolism is going to chase down the amount of food you're putting in to kind of match that, to offset it to some degree, okay? So that's where if anybody wants to talk about starvation mode, that's what it is. Now, I used to do that when I was competing in bodybuilding. It's a lose-lose proposition. You cannot sustain it. I don't care how much willpower you have. If you can't wait for the thing to be over, like I can't wait for this diet to be done, that's your sure fire signal that you're setting yourself up for a big rebound. Now, that's one pathway, and I've talked about this a lot. Intermittent fasting is a completely different pathway. I love to eat. It plays right into that. I get to eat a very big meal every night. I'm completely satisfied. I look forward to that meal rather than just going through the motions. I get to eat that in a relaxed state. It's something I've been doing for over 5 years. You cannot stick with a diet for over any length of time, really, a couple months. When I used to bodybuild, 4 months was the max, and then you would just, that led me to learning a lot of different things, but man, I would put on 35, 40 pounds in a week after a show just from doing your typical extreme dieting measures. So pretty crazy stuff. So intermittent fasting takes a different pathway. It's managing the hormones more so, and it's allowing your body to tap into its unlimited fuel supply of body fat. That's one of the main reasons we have fat on our body. One of the main reasons is as a fuel source. So we get to tap into that. So, another question Dan has, why do people who join big box gyms fail to stick with it? Lack of personal attention, lack of immediate results, lack of a family-like atmosphere. So it's another thing, right? We think because we join a place, stuff's just going to happen. You need the support. So at Newell Strength, I can tell you our main thing, one of our main things is the family-like community. You need to be surrounded by other people you like being around if you're going to go to something, right? It all comes down to this habit formation. And then are you being held accountable? But do you enjoy the process? You will not form a habit around something you do not find pleasurable. That holds true for all areas of life. If you don't like going to your big box gym, it's not gonna work. That's the way they get you. You know, you go in there, it's kind of, the energy's no good. You get a bunch of, you get meatheads in there. You get just people that are possibly judgmental. It's never gonna work. So it's got to be more than a gym, in my opinion, for it to work for most people. Some people can do it on their own. But if you're looking for longevity, then you need to be around people that are going to hold you accountable, kind of a judgment-free zone in a family-like community. So Alyssa asks, BCAAs was sucralose, so does it break a fast, basically? Creatine, technically not going to break a fast. I'm going to come back to that in a second. BCAAs, even if it's with zero sugar, still has calories. I used to allow that. Not that I'm the king of fasting, but as I've done more research, if you're going to fast, I say just fast. Don't be putting calories in. BCAAs are amino acids, okay, which are proteins. So there is going to be some calories in that. And you have to say, why are you using it? Are you having trouble recovering? That's another topic in and of itself, but you don't really need BCAAs. They are very, very anabolic. But if you're going to have them in your eating window. That's really the bottom line. That anabolic window that people like to talk about so much does not close. That window doesn't close until you put something into it. So, now with creatine, going back to that, and even caffeine, technically, if your liver has to detoxify it or break it down, you are breaking a fast. But there's different levels of fasting. If you are in pure health crisis mode and you had to cure something in your body, then I would just do dry fasting for as long as I could stomach it. Then I would drink the juice and I would do it again. I would repeat. I would try to avoid putting anything that the liver had to really to detox for the body. So Deb Crossman, how to continue with a plan when there are distractions, especially this time of year. I'm going to come back to that because that ties into Pat Fox's question. You also asked, should you be fasting while you're sick and on antibiotics? Yes. If you're sick, fast. If you have a disease, fast harder and longer. Fasting, so viruses and bacteria need, moisture, right? Water to survive. So dry fasting is the king to knock something out much, much quicker than it would otherwise be around. When we're constantly eating also, the immune system is kind of distracted, for lack of a better term. Let the body heal. I know Tim Ferriss had something maybe a year or two ago. He had Lyme disease and he could not kick it. It was going on for months. And so what he did was a 7-day fast. Boom, everything was gone. Let your body be thy medicine. That's an old thing from Socrates, I believe. But your body has its own internal healing mechanism and doctor within it. When you fast, you can access it. Inflammation is reduced. It can go to work. Think about when you're sick too. You don't really feel like eating. That your body's trying to tell you something. Just follow what it's telling you, okay? My buddy D Guns was actually hit by an SUV recently, so hopefully he's doing well. He posted a funny thing on here, how to recover. D Guns, what I'm going to tell you, really, I know D Guns had part of his intestine removed recently and, really banged up. Luckily, he survived. A truck pinned him against a wall a couple Sundays ago at a grocery store parking lot. He went through the wall, the cinder block wall, was smashed in there. But the mental game, what's the silver lining of this accident? Sometimes it's hard to see that in the short term, but your mental game is going to be the biggest thing for recovering from this. Okay, that's true. So Ryan Ross asked about sweeteners versus cane sugar. Not sure what the question is. I'm guessing, does that spike insulin? is it something you can have in a fast? Listen, I would go with stevia first if I'm going to do something. Now, there's research that shows even the sweeteners, no matter what kind, are going to spike insulin. That's debatable, but it goes back to how strict you want to be. And what can you form a habit around? If you like stevia in your coffee or a splash of cream, and that's going to give you adherence to the plan if you're fasting, then do it. Okay, don't get, like anything, don't get too rigid if you can't form a habit around it. You got to enjoy what you're doing. But in that case, like in my oatmeal at night for my dessert, I put a bunch of stevia. I like that. Who knows if it's healthier? That's what I've gathered through my research. But you know, I don't get too caught up in that stuff. Okay. Nathan wants to know what supplements am I currently taking. It's kind of what I talked about earlier. I'm doing vitamin D, magnesium are on main 2. I was finishing up some probiotics because I had that respiratory infection a couple weeks ago. They still wanted to try me on antibiotics. So at Devin's urging, I did that, but I wanted to make sure that I replenished the good bacteria in my gut. So I'm doing that. And then if you count sodium, that is a big thing that I believe is a supplement. Most people don't view it as a supplement because you don't buy it at GNC, but sodium, the juice, all that stuff is the greatest performance enhancer there is. So that's my timer. I'm going to keep going here for a couple more minutes. But and then, of course, for people out there interested, I talk a lot about I use testosterone. Big advocate of that for men, even women as they age. Much lower doses for women. You'd have to talk to a qualified OBGYN or endocrinologist that's in the know for that. But for men, I'm a big fan of it. You know, I do my weekly injection. Helps me in many ways. And it's something I'm very confident recommending. And I've done plenty of research on, so you can count that as a supplement as well. I did a video for our Ripped Dads last week about that. So let's go back to Deb's question. How to continue with the plan, especially this time of year. And Pat wanted to know something similar about, you know, maybe not weighing in this time of year just because with all the distractions going in. So listen, the reason we live a fit lifestyle, fitness-focused lifestyle, is to enjoy life more. It's to add life to your days, right? It's to make things more enjoyable. Fitness is not supposed to be your life. It's not supposed to be something that you feel guilt over. I've been down that path before. It's not something that's supposed to be your sole focus. Enjoy it. Keep it alive, whatever the plan is. If you don't want to measure yourself this time of year, don't. But you always got to have, you know, some kind of cue to get back on track. Where people run into issues is this time of year they might stop, and that's okay, but then they have trouble getting going again. So keep your foot in the water, so to speak. Keep connected somehow. So when January comes, you can start ramping it up a little bit. And listen, this time of year anyway, minus the holidays, when it gets dark and gloomy, we go into human hibernation mode. Motivation is going to be harder to come by. Energy is going to be lower. So you got to do everything you can to manage that and build it up. And realize you can't always have the greatest workout of your life. You can't always go balls to the wall all year round. Just manage it. Get in there, do something and keep it going. And Deb, you know, if you're talking about sticking with the plan, to me, I've found that fasting plays right into that because most of these social events take place at night. Like we have a holiday party coming up this Friday night. So I'll fast all day and then I'll go to the party and have some drinks, cocktails, and eat whatever I want. Plays right into it. So it's the principle, right? It's not what you're eating. It's the principle of when you're eating and whatnot. And then, like I tell people, if you go on vacation or holidays come up, maybe you adjust your fasting if that's what we're talking about. So for me on vacation, I'll go back to the old form of the 16-8 fasting. So I'll have lunch and dinner, you know, and you just keep it alive. You keep it for where you're at in life, but you always know that it's a tool that you can ramp up or down as needed. As far as fitness, move because, you know, whether that's outside, especially this time of year, if you can get outside with some fresh air, that's great. But you just got to move. It's great for the brain. It's great to keep you engaged, great for your energy. So you got to manage it like that. And Pat, as far as your question, the main thing is you don't want to feel guilt. Okay? You don't want to feel guilt. And have some metrics that you are going to measure. Maybe it's how many gym sessions, training sessions you're going to get in between now and the new year. Stay in it somehow, but don't feel guilt. But obviously you don't want to completely throw away all your progress. So know that you might not improve, but maybe the goal for this period of the year is to maintain. Something like that. Or give yourself some leeway. Like when you're on a vacation, you put on some vacation weight, came right back off. Don't sweat it. So, I believe that is it. If you have any other questions before I hop off here, you can post them. Otherwise, thanks for the support. Please hit the like button. Leave a comment below if you want. Hit the share button. And if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast on iTunes, Unlocking Your Inner Strength, please do so. And leave a positive review when you get a chance. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Peace.